And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed. To you it shall be for food. Genesis 1:29. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. Psalm 78:25. Everyday Manna with Lisa.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. On today's program, we're going to be making lasagna rolls with a red pepper sauce. We're also going to be making a broccoli with a lemon pepper garlicky sauce over it, and a classic, well, my take on a classic Italian dessert called tiramisu. And if you like coffee, this one is for you. But right now, I've got a pot of water that has come to a boil. That's for my lasagna noodles. I've got a skillet on the stove to where we can saute some spinach and some onions and so forth. The oven is preheated to 350 degrees. So let's get started. The water is boiling, so let's go ahead and salt our water. And let me find my lasagna noodles here. Put about, I'd say, a good tablespoon of water. Remember to always salt your water when you're boiling any kind of pasta. Get these lasagna noodles going. I love lasagna, but sometimes I don't have time to make the traditional lasagna because it takes, you gotta cook the sauce, and then you have to layer the lasagna, and then you've got to bake the lasagna. So this is a really quick version of lasagna. It's also vegetarian. We're not going to be using any meat in today's recipe. So if you're a vegetarian, you're going to love this. But if you need, I'm not a vegetarian. I love meat of all kinds. But I love this recipe. I love lasagna rolls made this way. And sometimes, especially in the warmer months, you want something that's just a little bit lighter, in not quite so heavy as a lasagna can be. So this is a great recipe for any time of the year, but especially when it starts getting a little warmer. I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil to my skillet that is preheating, and I'm going to just dice 1 medium-sized onion. I'm using a white onion today, but you can use whatever kind of onion you have. You can use a yellow onion or a red one if you have a red onion, or just whatever you have on hand will be fine. You want a medium-sized onion to put in the skillet. We're just going to saute this. I've got 1 box of frozen spinach, which to me is one of the best bargains in the grocery store. Costs about 50 cents, and what I did was I just thawed it in the microwave, just defrosted it in the microwave, and I just squeezed out all of the liquid. Sometimes the frozen broccoli will be full of liquid, and you want to make sure that you drain out all of the liquid off of the broccoli, off of the spinach. We're going to have broccoli as a side dish. You could, if you had fresh spinach, you could saute your fresh spinach and use that too. That would be perfectly fine. I just used the frozen today. Now I'm going to add my onions to my oil. I need to swish my pasta again. I couldn't get all my noodles down. Once they start softening, you can kind of get them down in the pasta. Let's take the water. Let's take the lid off. See how you need to sometimes you got to kind of let it soften a little bit and then work those noodles down in the boiling water. Just plain lasagna noodles is all this is. All right. Now we've got our onion sauteing. You don't want to brown this. You just kind of want to soften the onion just a little bit. To that, we're going to add some garlic. We're going to take about 3 cloves of garlic because these cloves are a little bit on the small side. So I'm going to use 3. If your garlic cloves are bigger than mine, or if you're using the pre-minced garlic, you would want about the equivalent of, say, 2 cloves if you're using the jarred pre-minced garlic. I love fresh garlic, and it's really, truly one of the healthiest foods for you. I know it kind of does a number on your breath, but it really it really is so healthy. It's full of just things that helps cleanse your blood. It just helps to, they even say sometimes that, that it'll help reduce cholesterol and that kind of thing, which I have a cholesterol problem, so I eat it as much as I can. Then just chew lots of gum. But you want to kind of dice this up sort of fine. We are going to be cooking it, so it's not as, as important as if you were using it, say, in a salad dressing, that you get it as fine as that. You could use a garlic press if you have one. I don't, so I just use my knife. I'm not a person that likes a lot of gadgets that can only do one thing. I do like kitchen gadgets, but you will find that if I have it, it will do more than one task. It just doesn't do one thing and that's it, because I feel that's sort of a waste of money if you have something that can only do one thing. So we're going to add our garlic to our onion, and I've got some parsley here. I've got about probably a half a cup of parsley, fresh parsley, that I'm going to just mince up. This is the flat leaf Italian parsley, but if you have the curly leaf, you can use that. That's fine. Parsley adds, if you're not used to using parsley, this is one of those herbs that's readily available, not expensive. You can get a bunch of parsley in your produce department for anywhere from 50 cents to $1. Some of the other little herbs like basil and things like that, out of season can really be expensive, but this is not one of those. So you can get this year-round. It's very economical, and it really adds such a brightness and freshness to your dishes. A lot of people think that parsley really has no flavor, but I disagree. I think it really does, and I think it adds a lot of freshness to your dishes, whatever you're doing here. Now, my onions have softened, and I just have one box of the spinach. Like I said, I defrosted it in the microwave, and I'm just going to add it to this. The spinach is cooked. All we're doing is just kind of warming it through. Let's turn that down just a little bit, because the onions, I certainly don't want that garlic to burn. So our spinach is going. Now, in another dish, let's get our parsley to the side here. I have about half of a cup or so of just the Italian blend cheese that you can get in your dairy department at your grocery store. You could use just plain mozzarella, but now they have these wonderful blends that have the Parmesan and sometimes they have Fontina and Romana and all of those things. So to that, we're going to add about half of this parsley. We are also going to add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, just kosher salt, and then I've got about a tablespoon of dried basil. I'm going to add some fresh ground pepper. My noodles are boiling away. And then I have a half a cup of ricotta cheese. Now, this is what you can find this right by where they sell the cottage cheese in the grocery store. It's just right there with the cottage cheese. And I'm just going to blend these two together. I got to take a quick break. I'm just going to blend all this, and I'm going to come back, and we're going to make the sauce for these lasagna rolls. I'll be right back. Hey, and welcome back. Now, all I did was combine the ricotta with the cheeses and the herbs that we had and the spices. Now I'm going to add this to our spinach mixture. Take that off the heat, because really all you were doing was warming that spinach and sauteing the onion a little bit and the garlic, because you didn't really want that raw garlic flavor. We're going to add that, and this becomes the filling for the lasagna rolls. Now just take your spoon and just stir all that together. It smells so good. If you like spinach, this is the dish for you. And I love spinach. Very healthy, full of iron, folic acid, things that are very healthy and very good for you. Just thoroughly combine that. That's ready to go. When you're cooking lasagna noodles, check your noodles ever so often and make sure that you separate them, because you don't want them to stick together, because we're going to be taking the individual noodles and rolling them up. There's one that's sticking, see? Just kind of take your tongs and that'll separate them right out. They need to go about maybe 3 to 4 more minutes. Now, we're going to make our sauce, our red pepper sauce. We need a food processor. And we're going to put about 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar in here. If you don't have red wine vinegar, you could use cider vinegar, but it would be a little bit different of a flavor. We got some jarred roasted red peppers. I'm going to drain one of them, because I don't want all the liquid. I'm going to leave the liquid of the one. And roasted red peppers, let me show you one here, are just regular red peppers that they have roasted and peeled. You know what I mean, the roasted red peppers that you get in the store that look like a green pepper, except they're red and they're sweeter. But when you roast them, oh my goodness, it brings out the flavor of the pepper so much, and it's so delicious. I'm going to leave the liquid in the one jar. I have 2 little jars because they didn't have a big jar at my store this morning. So we're just going to use the 2 smaller jars. Kind of break them up a little bit, although the food processor is going to puree them. We're going to add 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes. The newest thing, my new favorite product, I guess, is the fire roasted tomatoes. They are just absolutely scrumptious. And they add just such a depth of flavor. If you've never used these are little sun-dried tomatoes that you get in all the grocery stores now. I like the ones that are packed in oil. You can get them that are just the dried that you have to reconstitute with hot water. But I really prefer the ones that are in the oil. And I want probably, we'll do 4 of the little roasted tomatoes, sun-dried tomatoes. These are delicious with chopped up and put over cauliflower and roasted. That's really, really good. We're going to add about, I'd say, a teaspoon or so of salt, some freshly ground pepper, and some garlic. We're going to do 3 cloves of garlic. Now, our food processor will do most of the work here, so we just need to just peel it and just let the food processor, I might just barely chop it, maybe, and just slice it up a little bit. But it's going in the food processor, so you don't really need to fool that much with it. And then put your lid on and let it go. This is kind of loud, so bear with me here. But you see how that just purees that sauce? I'm just going to kind of pulse it. And let me show you what that does. That just really creates this beautiful, let me grab a spoon here. It's not a slotted spoon. It creates this sauce that you can see the chunks, the little black flakes in there are the pepper from the roasted red peppers. It's just the char from the outside of the pepper. And your sauce is done. That's all you have to do. And then we're going to roll up our lasagna noodles. So just put this to the side. Let's check our noodles. Let's see if I can find a piece in here. Okay, our noodles are done. We just need to drain. Check it. Perfect. You want it kind of al dente. So those are done. We just need to drain them, and then we'll roll our wraps. Okay, now we've rinsed our lasagna noodles, and we're just going to show you how to roll these up. You just want to take about a spoonful of your filling and spread it out over the noodle. You don't need a whole lot because you're going to be rolling these up, and if you put too much in there, it will squish out the sides. So you just want a little bit, about a spoonful, and just kind of spread it. You see how I'm doing it here. Use your fingers, the best tools God gave us. It's right on the end of your hand. You can do so much with your hands that you can't do with anything else. Just make sure they're clean. Okay. Now I've got a baking dish here that we've got. We're just going to roll. You see how I'm just rolling it up. Seam side down where your lasagna noodle meets, just seam side down in your dish. Now, we've got our noodles done. Now, all we have to do, let me wipe my hands here, is pour some sauce, very carefully, over our noodles, the roasted red pepper sauce that we made. That is so good. And those noodles will just kind of soak up that liquid. You want to make sure that your lasagna noodles are cooked like to an al dente stage, which means they still have a little bit of a bite to them. A little bit to the tooth is what that means in Italian. Because if you cook them to where they're too soggy, then when they bake in the oven, they just won't be any good. So just spread your sauce over your noodles. It smells so good. Then I'm going to put just a little bit more of the Italian blend cheese that I bought at the grocery store. I'm just going to sprinkle the rest of my bag over the top of my lasagna rolls. And we're going to put them in a 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes. All right, our lasagna rolls are in the oven. I have a pan of water that has come to a full boil here. I'm going to add some salt because this is how we're going to cook our broccoli. I bought just one head of fresh broccoli at the grocery store. I've already peeled the stems, and I'm just going to cut up, get my little broccoli. Now, a lot of people only like the flowers of broccoli. My favorite part is the stems, so I always just peel the stems and include that in on it, because to me that's the best part. You can have the flowers and just give me the stems. So I never throw those away. A lot of people do. If you don't like them, you don't have to cook them. Then we're just going to add our fresh broccoli to our water, and we're going to just lightly steam this in the water for about, I would say 5 minutes or so. I don't want it soggy. I still want it to just, be just a little bit firm, cooked, but not completely soggy. Now, I've got about 2 tablespoons of butter that I have melted. And I'm going to add a half a cup of toasted almonds, about a teaspoon of lemon pepper seasoning, and about 1/4 of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. To that, I'm going to add the juice of 1 lemon. And really what I'm doing is just combining the flavors, and I'm also toasting those almonds, because when you toast your nuts or you kind of lightly brown the nuts, it really brings out the flavor in the nuts so much more. And I've zested that lemon, and I'm going to add the zest, and then I'm just going to kind of let that hang out. Really, I'm going to turn the heat off of that, and that's our dressing for our broccoli. Just going to kind of let that hang while the broccoli's cooking. And now we're going to get started on our quick tiramisu, Italian tiramisu. In this measuring cup, I have 1 tablespoon of sugar and 1 tablespoon of water. That's all that's in there, and I'm just kind of stirring that around. We're going to add, in the grocery store now, you can get these wonderful coffee flavors. They come in different flavors. Hazelnut, French vanilla, I saw raspberry, just different things. You choose your favorite, and you want 6 tablespoons of your coffee syrup that you get by the coffee in your grocery store. 3, You want 6 tablespoons of this because this does have quite a bit of sugar in it. Smells so good. Mine kind of smells like almonds. It smells wonderful. To that, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of just an instant coffee, whatever kind. If you can find the instant espresso, by all means get that. I could not find that this morning, so I just have regular coffee that's just an instant coffee. Stir that together, set it aside. Well, we need 1 tablespoon of this mixture. Put into, I've got 1 container of just whipped cream cheese. Just set that to the side. I've got 2 tablespoons of just regular sugar. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of whipping cream, the heavy whipping cream. And I'm going to mix that together with my mixer. Get my spoon out of there. Let's get that going. You just want to mix that together. Now, I bought the whipped cream cheese. You know, it comes in the block and it comes in the whipped also. I did get the whipped. I've also just bought a purchased pound cake, just plain pound cake that you can buy in any grocery store out there. Traditional tiramisu uses lady fingers, but I find, honestly, that I like the pound cake. So I'm just going to slice. Let me show you how this comes together. I've just got some pretty little parfait bowls. I'm going to slice my pound cake into like, I don't know, 1/4 to 1/2 inch slices. Take a spoonful of your coffee mixture, and you probably will need to stir that every time. Just spoon that over, just a little bit over your pound cake. And then let me grab a spoon. Take a spoon of your whipping cream and your cream cheese mixture and put that over your wonderful little pound cakes. Top it with another slice of pound cake. Put just a little spoonful of your coffee flavored on there and just top it with a little dollop of your whipped cream. And then take some just cocoa powder that you buy in the baking aisle and just lightly top that. And that is just a quick, easy tiramisu. And that's it. And we'll just make up the rest of these later. Our broccoli is done. Now, what we want to do is we want to take our broccoli and add it to our butter and almond mixture. I love this little strainer. It's just perfect for things like this. Add your broccoli to that. And then you just want to spoon that together, and that's done. Our lasagna rolls are also finished. And oops, there went one overboard there. Just kind of stir him together with those nuts and the butter. And then just get a pretty serving dish and pour that over into your serving dish with those wonderful almonds and butter and all that on top. It's very healthy. Nuts are very good for you, in case you did not know that. Now, let's get our lasagna rolls out. Let's get our plate ready for us and get our lasagna rolls. And they look yummy, cheesy and gooey and just so very, very good. And let me just sprinkle that with a little bit of parsley. And let's serve one up here. Your pan is hot. I tend to touch my hot pans. I need to be very careful with that. And then just put them on a beautiful little serving platter, such as that. And there you go. There's lasagna rolls with broccoli and tiramisu. See you next time on Everyday Manna.
this episode of Everyday Manna and would like a copy of today's recipes, please send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Living Faith Television in care of Everyday Manna, Post Office Box 1867, Abingdon, Virginia 24212, or visit our website at www.livingfaithtv.com. Please be sure to include the program number found at the bottom of the screen in your letter.